his wife to share one heart, Huni was this steady beating organ. They had lost their other sons, the youngest to measles, and the middle, good-for-nothing one, to a goring bull in a pointless accident. Except for school and the market, the old couple kept young Huni close by the house, and eventually, as a young man, Huni needed to stay home to help his parents. They could not bear to disappoint him, yet they loved him enough not to dote on him. The peasants knew that a spoiled son did more harm to a family than a dead one, and they kept themselves from indulging him too much. Other families in the land were not so fortunate as to have two such sensible parents, and as happens in countries being pillaged by rivals or nature, the weak, the elderly, widows, and orphans, were as desperate as ever on the colonized peninsula. For any household that could feed one more, there were multitudes willing to work a full day for a bowl of barley rice. In the spring of 1911, 2 weeks after Huni turned 28, the red-cheeked matchmaker from town called on his mother. Huni's mother led the matchmaker to the kitchen. They had to speak in low tones, since the boarders were sleeping in the front rooms. It was late morning, and the lodgers who'd fished through the evening had finished their hot suppers, washed up, and gone to bed. Huni's mother poured the matchmaker a cup of cold barley tea, but didn't break from her own work. Naturally, the mother guessed what the matchmaker wanted, but she couldn't fathom what to say. Huni had never asked his parents for a bride. It was unthinkable that a decent family would let their daughter marry someone with deformities, since such things were inevitable in the next generation. She had never seen her son talk to a girl. Most village girls avoided the sight of him, and Huni would have known enough not to want something he could not have. This forbearance was something that any normal peasant would have accepted about his life and what he was allowed to desire. The matchmaker's funny little face was puffy and pink. Black, flinty eyes darted intelligently, and she was careful to say only nice things. The woman licked her lips as if she was thirsty. Huni's mother felt the woman observing her and every detail of the house, measuring the size of the kitchen with her exacting eyes. The matchmaker, however, would have had great difficulty in reading Huni's mother, a quiet woman who worked from waking until bed, doing what was needed for that day and the next. She rarely went to the market because there was no time for distracting chatter. She sent Huni for the shopping. While the matchmaker talked, Huni's mother's mouth remained unmoving and steady, much like the heavy pine table she was cutting her radishes on. The matchmaker brought it up first. So there was that unfortunate matter of his foot and broken lip. But Huni was clearly a good boy, educated and strong as a pair of oxen. She was blessed to have such a fine son, the matchmaker said. She deprecated her own children. Neither of her boys was dedicated to books or commerce, but they were not terrible boys. Her daughter married too early and lived too far away. All good marriages, the matchmaker supposed, but her sons were lazy. Not like Huni. After her speech, the matchmaker stared at the olive-skinned woman whose face was immobile, casting about for any sign of interest. Huni's mother kept her head down, handling her sharp knife confidently. Each cube of radish was square and certain. When a large mound of white radish cubes formed on the cutting board, she transferred the load in a clean swipe into a mixing bowl. She was paying such careful attention to the matchmaker's talking that privately, Huni's mother feared she would begin to shake from nerves. Before stepping into the house, the matchmaker had walked around its perimeter to assess the financial condition of the household. From all appearances, the neighborhood talk of their stable situation could be confirmed. In the kitchen garden, ponytail radishes, grown fat and heavy from the early spring rain, were ready to be pulled from the brown earth. Pollock and squid, strung neatly across a long clothesline, dried in the lacy spring sun. Beside the outhouse, 3 black pigs were kept in a clean pen built from local stone and mortar. The matchmaker counted 7 chickens and a rooster in the back.